Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is my 13th WAD progression update, and this comes just after I've completed Hell Revealed and just before I take on Speed of Doom. And I'd like to take this opportunity just to go through some of the highlights for Hell Revealed for me. Again, this is an old school WAD, it was released in 1997, that's only 4 years after, or less than 4 years after, id Software released the original Doom. It was developed by a pair of speedrunning friends called Jonathan Donor and Hage Niv, and this is a powerhouse mega WAD that has underpinned or influenced a large portion of WADs that have followed. So a little bit of perspective on this one. Jonathan Donor was 16 when this was released, and it was created at a time when the tools and assets available were sparse and clunky at best. It's absolutely mind-boggling to me that they were able to achieve this and get this WAD released. I think it's absolutely epic. So given the timeline on this, given when it happened, the tools and things, it's not surprising that Hell Revealed can have a mixed reputation. Some people flat out appreciate it or can appreciate it for its age, and some people find it a bit of a dated experience. I can see both sides on this one, but personally for me, I sit in the former camp and consider this to be an absolutely amazing WAD. You know, for me, it was more like a classic movie. There were some flicks on the screen. It was a bit grainy in places and so on. It didn't have the refined visual effects, but it had so much more to kind of pull it all together to build that experience and for it to be a really fun playthrough for me. Saying this though, it's not that I didn't see any such evidence of things. I did. I saw examples of the bland or homogeneous texturing in places, the use of, or gratuitous use of monster blocking line devs that kind of block monsters in spaces where it looks physically like they should be able to cross, but they can't for some reason. Just made it a little bit odd or reduced the immersion a little bit in places. And also the infamy of facing kind of high health or high tier enemies with low tier weapons. So obviously the example is the shotgunning down or single shotgunning a Baron is quite common in this WAD. But despite all of that, I had a lot of fun playing it. And it did represent a fairly robust challenge. Like, the authors specifically created this to be an extreme challenge. And that challenge for me was definitely there, but it was largely absent until the last 10 maps or so, where it really kind of, the difficulty kicked up a notch. So I'm conveniently omitting in this map 13, Last Look at Eden, which absolutely humbled me and reaffirmed my mortality. But apart from that, the toughest map probably started around map 22, Resistance is Futile, and then there was a bit of a run down towards that final stretch down to the closing maps, which were pretty tough, across those. Be careful with those, they are quite difficult. But I got through them relatively unscathed. I was quite happy with that. I didn't have any major challenges. I did take on quite a lot of work on map 30, Hell Revealed itself, where I played that over 1,000 times to get my completions in slightly different ways. There's a video and all that stuff, but you can just take that on in whatever way works for you. But apart from that, I got through all the maps in pretty good stead. I didn't need to grind or work too hard in any particular map. So I've quite enjoyed that. In terms of my skill improvement, I was trying to give an update on this. Again, like any big, tough mega WAD, it raised my comfort with dealing with tough maps that present a kind of complex challenges, complex fights, complex routing, whatever it might be. Which is kind of just, part of it in all of this. Whenever you play a big WAD like this, that's something you get better at. But I would say I learned a lot of patience, and that sounds bad. I don't mean like shotgunning Barons. What I mean is building my awareness of the timing of a fight or an encounter and a challenge, where you're dealing with a tough fight, you're holding back, you're waiting, you're being patient, you're controlling stuff, you're taking stuff down, but then that decisive moment where you push it up a notch, you move around things, or you take the next step, or you bring in the next wave, my comfort and my patience with knowing when that time was improved a lot. Like, that kind of fine control over fights, that definitely stepped up a bit in this one. Also, my strategic thinking, when you're taking on big complex maps like this, quickly forming detailed strategies that help increase my survival rate on it. And in these sort of ones, you can imagine very, very big maps. You're trying to, when should I get the weapons? What order should I take them on? What fights and what order do I do those? Where are the keys? How do I progress? And so on. All the routing, everything that goes with it. But I don't like doing all the routing. I don't like spending all of my time doing that. I like to just fire up Doom and play. So being able to do that quickly, to quickly assess, maybe a no monsters run, get the layout, see where things are, and then go and start recording it. So being able to step and push that up a little bit more, not needing to do too much in terms of practicing and things like that. That was a nice step up for me as well. And the last one is probably just some of the fun I've had with routing in this one. Particularly stood out to me was map 24 Postmortem. I grabbed a couple of routes from the speedrunning community and really enjoyed that. In particular, grabbing the BFG, getting a jump across to sequence skip to the exit, getting everything, the whole map kind of churned up. I just really enjoyed that kind of stuff. So those are probably the key bits of skill improvement for me. And I'd say, like, certainly the WAD lived up to its formidable reputation for the kind of simplified aesthetics and the heavy enemies with modest weapons and things like that. But I did have a lot of positive highlights as well. There was a lot going on in these that I really enjoyed. I wanted to have a look at kind of what are the key maps that stood out to me on this, and there's actually quite a few of them. I'm going to go through these. I'll try not to spend too long on them, but I did really enjoy them, so I thought I wanted to give them a little bit of the spotlight on this. So map 10, Chambers of War from Hage Niv. There's a compact, fast-paced run and gun. I love run and gun maps in this. There are no keys. It's a small space. It's nicely detailed, it's ornate, it's got a small footprint and things like that on it. You get abundant health, weapons, ammo and so on. You don't need to think about it. So it's just push, just go. Don't think about it too heavily, just go for it and you'll really enjoy it. Some nice Doom cute and things along the way, a bed and library and the maze and out the back and stuff. I really enjoyed that. Map 11, Underground Base, Unit and Donor. This felt like the first challenge of the WAD. It was a slight step up compared to some of the previous ones. It was larger, it was mazier, there was a handful of challenging encounters kind of sprinkled across the map, but it was very satisfying to route it. It was very satisfying to break it down and to complete it. And it promoted a kind of stage by stage processing method where you just take it down area by area to control and to tame the map. I really enjoyed doing that with it. And there's lots of different spaces to navigate, to control, lots of top tier enemies and things, so nothing's given away, but it's quite good fun, or I quite enjoyed that. Next up was map 12, Great Halls of Fire by Unite and Donor. This was fun. There's another kind of fun like run and gun for me. So wake up all the monsters in the opening area, you stoke up some infighting, you kind of rush headlong through the maze, you get down to the bar and vending machine, you just kind of, you push it, you take it all on. It's energetic, it's dynamic. I really enjoyed things like the Baron vending machine. A Baron is released every X number of seconds and you've got just enough time to take one down before the other one is released. It's not a tough challenge. If they're all released together, it wouldn't be that difficult, but it's quite fun to see if you can keep the timing of it. And I really enjoyed taking that on. Apart from that, it was a lovely map. You can run it hard, you can run it fast, you can take stuff on, and I just love that kind of dynamic play style that it kind of stoked in me. I really enjoyed that. Next up was map 14, City in the Clouds by Unite and Donor. This is a very interesting challenge. The map makes you work for every inch of progress you make. Nothing, absolutely nothing is free. So the weapons are all heavily protected. Even the lowly single shotgun had to be earned. And in the way I played this one, I didn't even get that gun for a while. So I had to run around, get the monsters moving, provoke some infights, get things progressing in the way that I wanted before I could even pick up a shotgun on this one. And you have to work. There's a fight to get every weapon on this one. So you got to work for it all. I quite like that. I really enjoyed the way this was all set up. I really enjoyed breaking down, doing the routing for figuring out how to deconstruct it, get the weapons, where and when, and which fights to take on in which order. I enjoyed all that side of it. I had an awful lot of fun with this one. There were a couple of drawbacks on it. I didn't like the cleanup at the end. There's lots of monsters and windows and you're trying to take them all down. That was a bit awkward. And the BFG secret was a little bit trolly. You can see it there. I kind of had a good feel for how to get it. I tried lots of jumping and various things for it. I just couldn't get it. And I realized there's, looking at the Doom Wiki, there's a specific way to get it. It was what I was trying. I was just trying it on a slightly different wall. And on that wall, there's blocking line devs on it. On the other one, there wasn't. I didn't realize there was going to be a difference. So that was a bit awkward on that one. But I really enjoyed the map. City in the Clouds really stood out to me as one of the top maps in the first half of the WAD. After that was map 32, Mostly Harmful by Unite and Donor. Awesome secret map on this one. It provided loads of deaths for me, so I did have a rough time on it, but an awful lot of fun as well. It's a relatively simple concept. You've got a core in the middle, which has got your exit. Outside of that, you've got a moat, which has got resources and things in it. Outside of that, you've got an annular kind of platform you can run around to navigate between different areas. And outside of that, there are 4 main kind of cardinal areas in it. They're all kind of copies of each other, and you got to run through it, collect the keys. Once you get all the keys, get into the center and you can exit. But it's tough. It's got a monster spawner. It spews out large numbers of monsters relentlessly. So you have to stay on top of it. You have to keep going. You can't sit in the corner to get a bit of cover and wait for the fight to calm down a little bit. You can't backtrack to get ammo and resources and things. You need to keep pushing on this one, because the longer it takes you to do stuff, the more the monsters are spawned in. But it was a lot of fun, and I really, really enjoyed that map. Next up is map 22, Resistance is Futile by Unate and Honor. This is a powerhouse map for me, absolutely awesome to play. I think what I really enjoyed with this one is I felt like the map was challenging me. So you load into the map, all your weapons and ammo and stuff and health and things are right in front of you. You get a good glimpse of the map, you can see cybers and stuff, you can see archfiles, you know what's going to happen in this map. And it's kind of just saying, go on then, go for it. And I really loved the feel of that the map was challenging me to take it on. It showed me everything, and it was taunting me to go for it, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was a very, very fun map. Lots of tough fights and things on it, but I enjoyed them all. I would say one thing in it is that the moat, or the river down the center of the map, is your strongest ally in this one. If you keep the hordes of monsters, the biggest hordes of monsters, on the opposite side to where you are, you always have a bit of defense there. It's very hard for them to crowd you in a heavy way, but I really, really enjoyed playing that map. Then there's map 24, Postmortem, again Unate and Donor. This is a very stern challenge. This is one of the big maps in this one. It really made me feel like my skills were starting to improve. I mentioned already, I kind of took on a speedrunning route with this one, which is to grab the invone, get up and grab the BFG, sequence skip over, flip the switch to the exit, get to the exit, bring in all the monsters, just churn that whole thing up. And it's all up on a higher level. It's kind of, the map is built on 2 levels. It's all up at the higher level. You bring it all in, you get it all aggroed up, you've got the invone, so you don't care, you bring in all the cybers, the whole lot, and then you jump off. And you're down in the pit, you're on damaging floors, you've got a couple of rad suits, but not an infinite number. So you got to use them wisely, you got to take stuff down strategically at that higher level. And then when you're getting low on rad suits, you skip back up and you've got to get control of it. And I really enjoyed kind of churn it all up, hop out, come back in, and then deal with it all. It was an awful lot of fun on this one. Really, really enjoyed it. Had quite deep strategies in that one, but really, really enjoyed playing it. And then the last highlight one for me was map 26, Afterlife by Unate and Donor. This one is a very, very iconic map. It's got ghost monsters built into the fabric of it, or part of it, which is very, very interesting for this day. This is where you can crush corpses in Doom, and if a crushed corpse gets resurrected by an archvile, it gains strange properties and becomes a ghost monster. It can phase through walls and various things. And it was brought in as part of the mechanic for this one. I really enjoyed it, but that's not the centerpiece of the map. The map has got loads of centerpieces that are bigger than the ghost monsters for me. It's got 3 big areas, the kind of opening area where you are, and then it's got 2 other big annexed areas. Each of those could be its own map. So this one is a very, very big challenge. Probably the longest playthrough I've had on the channel. I think it's over 50 minutes it took me to finish that one. It is tough. It's tough going, but I really, really enjoyed it. I had quite good strategies, or detailed strategies, to help get me through this one. I was fairly pedestrian in terms of my pace. It's going to be a long map no matter what I did. I wasn't taking long risks, because when you get 30, 40, even up to 50 minutes into a map, you don't want to die from an archvile hit or just a silly maneuver. So I was fairly pedestrian in places, but I really, really enjoyed kind of pushing this one and keeping it going. I felt with this that this sounds quite foolish, but I felt like I played this just to stay alive. It was a bit of a survival run. I knew if I could stay alive in the different areas, the fights would all start to calm down, and once they calmed down, I could get control. So for me, it was all about kind of keeping my health up and being sensible, rather than kind of tackling the monsters or the fights directly. That's how it came across to me, and that worked quite well for me in this one. So those were the highlight maps. I'll just say them briefly again. Map 10, Chamber of Wars. Map 11, Underground Base. Map 12, Great Halls of Fire. Map 14, City in the Clouds. Map 32, Mostly Harmful. Map 22, Resistance is Futile. Map 24, Postmortem. And Map 26, Afterlife. And it's interesting to me that 7 of those 8 maps were created by Nathan Donor, so clearly I've enjoyed their style. But I do want to keep this a family-friendly video, so I've chosen not to discuss Map 7, Arachnophobia, Map 13, Last Look at Eden, or Map 30, Hell Revealed itself. But I don't want to just think about those negatives, so I've mentioned the kind of Hell Revealed gets some negative reputations, things like bland texture. I mentioned all this stuff before, but there's actually a lot I found or encountered along the way that I really appreciated and enjoyed. I thought I'd mention some of those very briefly as well. It started off Map 1, Into the Gate. The authors had an author Easter egg on the first map. That was a lot of fun to find it, to navigate. Map 8, the jail, it had a really, really interesting prison kind of layout and architecture to it, which made it a little bit more immersive for me. I quite enjoyed that. Map 9, Knockout. You can tell by the name, it's a kind of Tyson heavy map. You're leaning a lot on the Berserk pack on this one. But it was a really fun Berserk pack challenge. I quite enjoyed it, even though that's not a great, a big skill I have. I really enjoyed playing through that one. Map 19, Everything Dies. You start the map with all of the resources in that opening room, and you've got to get the whole way to the end of the map without picking up anything else. Quite like that idea as well. Map 21, Siege. You've got a really nice house concept, and you've got lots of nice kind of bits of Doom cute and things that just build that immersion. I quite liked it as well. Map 25, Dead Progressive. Really enjoyed this one. One funny thing for me is I mentioned the last 10 maps are a fairly heavy challenge. This is right in the middle of it, and it was fine. It's a lovely, refreshing breather map. It's got a good cadence. You get everything you want, so you're not looking for anything. It's basically one big arena. You're stocked fully with all the health and armor and anything that you could ever want, all the BFG and cells and the whole lot. And you can just push the map and take it all down. And it was such a nice relief in the middle of all of the other maps that I was taking on at the time. Particularly, it's kind of either side of Postmortem and Afterlife. So Dead Progressive was a huge relief for me and a lot of fun on that one. Also liked that one, the little mechanic where they had teleporters at each end of the arena. And whenever you got a bit crowded on one side, you could teleport over to the other. Quite liked that one as well. And then Map 26, Afterlife. We've mentioned this already in terms of the mechanic to resurrect the ghosts and stuff. But also it had a lovely kind of chessboard room. I just really enjoyed that room. And I think Hell Revealed has got quite a lot of those things. If you look out for them, quite a lot of nice things kind of distributed across the map that really build the fun, the immersion, the interaction I had with it. So I would look out for those. It's not all doom and gloom in terms of bland texturing and so on. There's some lovely areas of refined detail, of craftsmanship, of interesting architecture. You can see the thoughts and the concepts being manifest within the maps, and I quite like that. It often doesn't get a mention, so I thought I'd mention it on this one. But that's kind of it in terms of the review for me. With all of the playthroughs that I've uploaded on the channels, I use community developed tools and assets and things along the way. I always mention those. Look in the description if you want specific details for them. But for these playthroughs, for instance, I was using widescreen assets, episode selection, level names, sprite fixes, and so on. So if you want those, again, look for them in the description. I always include the details in the descriptions, even for the videos. But I really feel that they kind of build that player experience. It just refines it slightly. I quite enjoy it, and I'd highly recommend you have a look at them if you think that's something that you might enjoy as well. So this is our snapshot that tracks our progress as we play through all of these WADs, and you can see that it's been updated. We now have a tick mark against Hell Revealed, indicating that our playthrough of that WAD has now been completed. We've got a target or a bullseye against Speed of Doom, indicating that's the current WAD we've just started playing through. And we've got a question mark against Sight 2, indicating that's the next WAD we're expecting to play through once our playthrough of Speed of Doom has been completed. So really, really excited to get into Speed of Doom, but looking at this, the big thing that stands out to my completionist brain is we're getting very close to the end of the medium tier difficulty WADs. We only have 2 left. which is Speed of Doom and Sight 2. We've had a good run on the previous Mega WAD, so I'm starting to build some confidence that I'm going to be able to continue to push through these and complete all of this medium tier difficulty. For the hard tier difficulty, I'm pushing that to the back of my mind. That's not something I'm looking at right now. But for these last 2 WADs, I'm starting to build a little bit of hope that I'm going to be able to make it. So we're going to keep pushing with this one. The next one is obviously Speed of Doom. It comes with a very, very good reputation ahead of it. It's very well regarded as a nice kind of balanced and kind of tapered progression across the whole WAD. Interesting architectures, nice layout, maybe some new monsters in there as well. And, you know, good fights, interesting combat puzzles, and so on. So really, really looking forward to getting into this one. When we hop over to the Doom Wiki, this is what we see. We've got Speed of Doom. It was released in 2010. It's a Mega WAD created by Josh Seeley, or Joshy, and Darkwave. So the 2 authors for the Mega WAD. It requires a Boom compatible source port to play it, so we're going to be using comp level 9 for this one. I'll go through that a little bit later. And you can see that unusually it features 33 levels. So we're going to keep an eye out for that too. The bulk of the soundtrack was composed by Stuart Rinn, also known as Stew Boy, although 5 tracks were contributed by James Paddock, known as Jimmy, with 14 other tracks taken from various sources. So really looking forward to the soundtrack on these. Stew Boy and Jimmy have got formidable reputations within the Doom community, so really looking forward to listening to their contributions. And then we hop down here, we can see these are all the maps here. You can see map 33, Descent to Nowhere, that is the additional bonus secret map we get in this one. And the final details are over here. So authors, Josh Seeley and Darkwave. The port is Boom compatible, so we'll be using comp level 9. The iWAD is Doom 2, so we're going to be loading in the Doom 2 to get all of the assets for that. The Doom 2 iWAD, that is. The year is 2010, that's the year of release. The link is this one here to the id Games archive, so if you'd like to play this yourself or play along with the series as we go, you can download it from there. And then just a final note here is that in 2010, which is the year of release of this WAD, it received a CAC award on Doomworld. So we know this one has got a really good reputation. I know that by its pedigree, which has preceded it, in my understanding. This is going to be a really, really interesting playthrough, so I'm really, really looking forward to getting into this one. But now let's hop over to our ugly Excel sheet. So this is where we are. We've got Hell Revealed over here, and you can see all this side here under channel tracking is gone green, indicating that our playthrough of Hell Revealed has been completed. And if we scroll down, we now have all of the details for Speed of Doom. So this is Speed of Doom. You can see all the WAD details are here, software and settings are here, and all of the channel tracking I use is here. So let's go through this in a little bit more detail. So first up is the WAD and all the assets that we're loading in. That's here. We've got sodfinal.wad. That is the main WAD file for Speed of Doom. The version I'm using was created on the file is created on the 28th of March 2010, and you can see there's a whole pile of stuff I'm loading in on top of it here. I love using and leveraging the community developed assets, so I'll quickly go through these. We've got a sprite fix WAD here. We've got 2 WADs here you load in that make map 33 accessible through the menu. We've got widescreen HUD here, which I really enjoy using. We've got widescreen assets here. These are for things like the intermission screens and so on. And then we've got a sound fix WAD here, which just does a little bit of audible balancing across the different weapons in Doom. In particular, bringing down the sound level of the plasma rifle, which is a bit disproportionate. So I love using all of those. I'll go through some of those in a little bit more detail, or I'll provide links to them in the description so you can find those if you're interested in them. And I will go through the map 33 access in a little bit more detail in just a second. So that's all of the stuff we're loading in. The WAD details themselves, let's just have a quick look through some of the notes we have here first. So map 11, Transcension, you can see there's an upper texture set as a flash causing a crash in Boom 2.02 and MBF 2.03 on DOS. So you don't need to be aware of this if you're using modern source ports, which are very tolerant to these sort of things. But if you're using any of the original executables and you find crashes on this map, just be aware there's a known issue there. In map 12, the Meat Grinder, there's a potential soft lock in it. If you line skip and have activated a switch, you can get soft locked. I think you'd be unlucky to hit that one, but it is possible, so just be aware of it. Map 14, Sledge, you can see that only one of the 2 soul spheres near the blue or red key cards can be normally accessed. So what this is saying is, when you pick up one of the soul spheres, the other one is no longer normally accessible. That's normal, that's how the map is developed, but just in case, like me, you're the type of person that will spend an eternity looking for hidden switches or things to lower it, it just doesn't work on this one. You've got to choose which one you want, and when you take it, the other one is no longer accessible. Now, I say normally accessible because you could use an archvile jump or something else to get to it if you really want to, but just be aware of that. Map 33, I've mentioned this already, this is the bonus secret map. It's called Descent to Nowhere, and it's only accessible via cheat or dehacked. So with this particular one, it just means, but not normally accessible on it, it just means that there is no secret exit on a preceding map that allow you to start off on map 33. The only way you can start on map 33 is to cheat to get there. Use the warp command, use ID clev, whatever it is, but you need to bypass that. In normal playthrough, you cannot normally start that map, so just be aware of that. On map 28, which is Twilight Massacre, we've got large map, maybe laggy on less capable hardware. So this is a very, very big map. There's a lot of things going on in the architecture for it. In particular, in the center of the map, there's a very large structure which houses the exit. If Doom Guy is facing, or its visual, its field of view is scanning across that, you might find on less capable hardware it gets quite laggy and you start to drop frames and things on it. So just be aware if you're having any issues, that could be a tough map for you. Okay, so that's all of the notes on it. Let's have a quick look at the number of monsters and the number of secrets on it. The number of monsters starts out quite balanced up to the first 10 maps or so, 1, 2, 300 maybe, not too bad. But as you progress down, you find a couple of heavy hitters. So map 32, the Pyramid of Death, is the second secret map. We've got 1,184 monsters. And you progress down a bit further, we get down to map 28, Twilight Massacre. We've got 2,938. And a little bit further, map 30, Darkness Without End. We've got 2,010 monsters. So although there's some fairly balanced looking maps out there in terms of enemy numbers and enemy count, there are some very heavy hitters there, culminating in a peak of 2,938 monsters. So some big behemoth maps for us to chew through with those. In terms of the number of secrets, I guess it's a bit of a similar story. It's very varied. A couple of maps with none, 1, 2, 3 secrets, right up to, I think, 2 maps with 7. So for some maps, we're going to have some fairly heavy secret searching to do. On some maps, we won't have any. So a bit of a spectrum across that. And then we're going to move over to software and settings. You can see that the port we're using is DSDA Doom version 0.29.0. We're using Doom 2 Hell on Earth version 1.9. This is the iWAD we're using to bring in all of the assets. In terms of the settings used, we're using Skill 4, which is Ultraviolence, and we're using Comp Level 9, because we're using the Boom compatible source port for this one. So make sure you're using Comp Level 9. And then the launcher we're using is ZDL 3-1.1. This is one of the only things I haven't changed in my playthrough series, is the launcher used. It's very simple, very straightforward, very reliable, robust, very easy to use, all of it. So I've been very reluctant to move away from it. And then in terms of channel tracking, you can see here, this is just where we track the playthroughs as we go. The first playthrough, or the playthrough of the first map, is just completed. I did that to generate a thumbnail that you can see. So if I show you the thumbnail, all the thumbnails from the playthrough series will have a similar structure. You can see here the WAD name, Speed of Doom. This is the map ID, this is the map name, and over on this side we've got the Doom 2 logo indicating that the playthrough is for a Doom 2 WAD, and also you see this Speed of Doom logo. And that just gives a quick visual indication that this is part of the playthrough series for Speed of Doom. So keep an eye out for these. If you want to follow the series, the Speed of Doom logo is a really nice quick way to see that it's part of that series. That's all I wanted to discuss for today. I'm really looking forward to getting into it. So thanks very much for listening, and I will talk to you in the next one.